The Electoral Commission of Namibia says it's overwhelmed by yesterday's high voter turnout. The Commission had to make arrangements to allow voters who were at polling stations to make their mark after 9 o'clock last night. Political parties have accused the Electoral Commission of failing to communicate with stakeholders. These elections have left many feeling angry and distressful because of long queues, missing ballots and possible legal action. Some opposition parties already are threatening to boycott the outcome of the polls. About 1.4 million people registered to vote in the country of around 3 million. The results are expected within a few days. To be elected president, a candidate must get more than 50% of votes or there will be a runoff. Namibians vote separately for the National Assembly. All right, let's cross to Windhoek now for the latest with SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena. Good evening, Sophie. So vote counting is well underway. Is a picture slowly forming as to who will possibly be the next Namibian president?
It's still too early, I must say, because some of the voters left the polling stations early hours of this morning, and therefore the process is delayed. Earlier on, the political parties in this country were given an opportunity to talk to the media, and they raised concerns around the issue of the commission not communicating very well with them. We were told that they were supposed to have met the commission at around 12 midday, but unfortunately that meeting didn't happen. Let's take a listen at what the National Secretary General of the IPC had to say on behalf of the entire team that was there in relation to a group of opposition parties in this country.
We are not getting any feedback from the ECN. The ECN extended an invitation to political parties and said that we would meet here at 12 o'clock. As I'm addressing the media now at 13:40, the ECN has not spoken to us. We regard this as disrespectful, unprofessional and unethical of the ECN.
Sophie, let's just talk a bit more about the challenges, from the technical glitches to shortage of ballot papers that we heard of. What exactly was happening or being experienced at some of these polling stations?
We are told that in some polling stations, the ballot papers were not enough. Now, the question is what happened. Some people are saying there were enough ballot papers where they are stocked. But in terms of transporting those ballot papers where they were needed, when there were shortages, it was a problem. The other issue is that you have a situation where, particularly in the countryside, it would have been very far for them to quickly deliver those ballot papers. The problem here, unlike in South Africa, you can vote at any polling station, and therefore that is a recipe at times for disaster, in a sense that many people can turn up at a particular polling station when the registered voters there, perhaps the number is much smaller. And I think these are some of the issues that they didn't anticipate. But we did ask them on Monday whether they are ready, because during the voting of people who had permission in relation to special votes, we saw that there were problems, and we thought that perhaps that helped them to kind of tighten the challenges and ensure that this time around it will be smooth. In some places, quite smooth. But let's take a listen at what the opposition parties are saying in terms of the way forward.
On peace-loving Namibians, we are calling on every citizen that has been denied their right to cast their votes to come forward and let their political party leadership know how many of our people were denied their right to participate and to cast their vote. In the event that the ECN continues with this shame of an election that they have extended without authorization, we don't know where that authority came from, and it is indefinite because we don't know when the polls are going to close. Peter Sharma has issued a directive for elections to continue, but we don't know until when these elections need to continue. We don't know how they are going to reconcile these things, and we have a serious concern as political parties with this process.
So, Sophie, you've engaged the politicians. Clearly, they're unhappy with how the whole election was handled. But what is the sentiment of ordinary citizens?
The ordinary citizens are also not happy, particularly those who were affected. And they are saying that this did deprive them the right to vote. Others are saying they will wait and see what's going to happen. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to speak to the Electoral Commission. They are not available to speak to the media currently. The last time we spoke to the CEO of the commission was on Monday, when he gave those assurances that all is well. But there haven't been a moment for them, perhaps, or to take time to come and brief the media so that information can be disseminated, particularly to the people of Namibia. We don't know whether today they will do that, but if they didn't meet the opposition parties who are stakeholders, I don't think we are going to see any briefing anytime soon. And that's where the problem is. People don't understand that the media can play a very important role in strengthening democracy. The media is not an enemy, but the media is there for stakeholders to be able to communicate with the population.
Now, we understand that several political parties have indicated that they'll be challenging the validity of the poll. Is there still room, perhaps, if some of the issues are cleared now, just as we heard in that video, where we've got politicians now calling on those who were denied their right to vote to come forward? If it's extended, they're allowed to vote. Would they be fine, or they still plan to challenge the validity of that poll?
Yesterday, that's what they said, but today they haven't given an indication. But clearly, if they are agreed, there are processes in this country provided by the Constitution in relation to electoral processes. They can go to the Electoral Court. And therefore, I think these are some of the avenues they can use to continue to object or raise their concerns. And therefore, we don't know. Maybe tomorrow we'll hear an announcement in terms of the way forward if they are still not happy, or if the Electoral Commission doesn't meet the stakeholders and ensure that they are happy, they support the process.
Sophie, thank you very much for that update. That's SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena in Namibia, Windhoek, for us.